The FM news station's John Rabe has this profile of a Twin Cities group that does not fit that mold.
I went to see my baby. I said, now, hello, sugar. I said I would love you.
You could compare this group, the Carpetbaggers, to Billy Pilgrim, the unwilling and disjointed time traveler in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. Their style of music is old and out of the mainstream, and their name is from one of the most unsavory groups in U.S. history, yet John Magnuson, Mike Crabtree, and Rich Copley are fairly well-adjusted Twin Cities natives in their late 20s, with 2 CDs, regular gigs, and occasional appearances on public access TV. The Carpetbaggers are unstuck in time.
1, 2, 3.
I went to see my baby. I said, now, hello, sugar. I said I would love you, but now I wish I could. I changed my mind. I changed my wild mind. I changed my wild, 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 wild mind.
We met up with the Carpetbaggers in a house in South Minneapolis, fairly close, as you'll hear, to the airport. We wedged ourselves around the red Formica-top dinette table in the breakfast nook, and Mike told us how they landed on the name the Carpetbaggers.
It's just a historical reference to the guys that went down after the Civil War from the North and took advantage of the Southerners. They're sort of politicians that pillaged the South after the Civil War, and so we're kind of
the opportunists.
We're the Northerners going down and taking the Southern music and using it for our own perverted uses.
You play? Where do you play in the South? In Mankato?
Yeah. We played in Austin, Minnesota. No.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
When I'm drinking, I start to feel like I'm really wearing the pants. I think of things that I should have done if only I had a second chance. All the roadblocks disappear, nothing stands in my way. If I could just stay drunk all the time, my life would be simple today.
Let me ask you about the song Sober Again. Who wrote that?
I did.
That would be Rich Copley. What was the genesis of this song?
Well, I was just thinking about, the cliched country western drinking song. It's always, I got drunk, I did this, I'm sorry, or drinking made a wreck out of me and all this stuff. And I was thinking about this.
What is it? Liquor is the devil in liquid form?
Yeah, or whiskey, yeah, that song, whiskey is the devil in liquid form. Right, really, yeah. I was thinking about, how about writing a drinking song from the perspective of a timid guy who doesn't stand up for himself unless he's drunk. And when he's not drunk, he's always bowing down to all this pressure. So what happens is he's just this guy, or this voice in the song is talking about how when he's drunk, he stands up for himself, but when he's not, he ends up getting a job that he hates, and then finally he gets married.
Ask me a question, I'll probably say I do. I'm sober again, I'm sober again. Look out, I might make a decision under bed. I'm sober again, I'm sober again.
We've been playing the same whatever style ever since we started. The country blended with rockabilly, blended with bluegrass, folk, I don't know, whatever. It's always been the same type of stuff that we play.
We never called ourselves a rockabilly band. We were actually pretty sensitive to that fact from the early get-go, because we didn't want to be some flash in the pan with DuckTales or whatever and have to play that whole game. So it's always
tattoos. We didn't want it to get tattoos.
It's always been country music with a little bit of rockabilly mixed in, just like all our heroes did, like Johnny Cash. Some people call Johnny Cash, at least his early stuff, rockabilly, and it just isn't. And there's a lot of stuff like that was country, but it was somewhere in between country and rockabilly.
Yeah, it was like country music reacting to rock and roll, trying not to die or get buried.
Mm-hmm. Right, not to become the past.
Yeah, so it was a good thing for country, though, I think, because it really it brought it back to life, sort of, or injected a lot of life into it.
Why did you guys listen to country music? Why did you listen to Johnny Cash and Buck Owens and
That's a good question, but I don't know. I started listening to punk rock, and I sort of kept going backwards. I went to the 70s punk rock, and then 60s punk, and 50s rock and roll. I just wanted to see where it all happened, the rock and roll thing, and then
kind of
from there
back to Elvis or something. Or?
Yeah, and then I finally just found Johnny Cash, who to me was the bridge between country and rock and roll. I think he still kind of is for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time since a country music star hit with a country death song, but it's a genre the Carpetbaggers slog into unafraid. In a country death song like Bill Monroe's On the Banks of the Ohio, a brutal murder is described, in explicit terms, with little or no explanation or remorse. It's a tradition that goes back ages. The Carpetbaggers' next album will probably include the happy song, The Way You Left Me.
My inspiration for this was Porter Wagner. He did a lot of real sick sort of songs, or he did in the 60s a lot of these recitations in the middle of the song, sort of, I'm the psycho, I'm going to do this to you. Da, 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 da.
In fact, he had a hit with Cold Hard Facts of Life, which we did on our first record.
Right, yeah, but he did something like The Rubber Room, which is great, and the second Mrs. or the first Mrs. Jones?
The first Mrs.
Or the second Mrs. Jones, something like that, which is great. It's The Way You Left Me. It's The Way You Left Me. It's this guy telling his former companion that I'm going to leave you the way that you left me. I'm going to leave you the way that you left me. And it turns out that his companion tried to kill him, but was not successful. Didn't realize this because they ran away because they thought that they killed him. So that, I'm going to leave you the way you left me. You left me for dead. Sort of is the last line of the song. So
it's a real day brightener.
It is.
Echoes of Delia.
Yes.
Sort of.
The new Johnny Cash album.
Mm-hmm. True. Except it doesn't really say that Delia tried to kill Johnny in that one, but I think Johnny just killed her.
Just killed her.
Like the Louvin Brothers song Knoxville Girl that we used to do a couple years ago.
That's really intense.
It's like a fact by fact kind of story about how he picked up a stick, knocked her down, and beat her till she was dead.
But there's no reasoning.
There's no emotion in it about like why he did it. There's no explanation.
I think it's all it is. Here are the facts.
Yeah, it's documentation.
It's a documentation, and there's no morality attached to it.
Right.
And that's what makes it great, because there's such a mystery behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened? You just keep... You
end up painting...
try to make a story. You try to make a story out of how could something like this happen.
Right, it's democratic art. It invites the listener to fill in the holes.
The way that you left me for dead. The way that you left me for dead.
Never mind that those holes may be graves. What about the lamentation in country music? Does that fit your psyches? Are you guys sad
definitely
guys all the time?
We're not sad all the time, but
we have kind of dark senses of humor.
And the sadness or the tragedy of the traditional country music is very appealing. You know, the more tragic, the better. For some, I can't explain why. I just it appeals to me when I hear it, and a lot of it gets into our songs. Although we seem to lean more towards the humor part of it, but we try to write despicable, tragic ballads as well.
Well, for you, John Magnuson, there were the years in prison.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought those up too, John. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have a dark history, though, right?
No, well, none that I could document with prison records or criminal records, but we all have our dark histories, I guess. That mine just happens to be in my head.
Well, sit back here, little baby. You know it didn't mean you no harm. I hate to see another man hanging on your arm. I change my mind. I change my wild mind. I change my wild mind. I change my wild mind.
Yum, yum, yum.
The Carpetbaggers are a Minneapolis group with 2 CDs on the Twin Tone label, Country Miles Apart and Nowhere to Go But Down. Look for their upcoming album sometime next year. John Rabe's profile of the Carpetbaggers was engineered by Denny Hansen and John Sheriff.